So let's just make yourself comfortable if you'd like to sit up to open, or if you'd like to just lie down and relax. We'll just take a few moments to relax and arrive. Even though we're here, we'll continue to arrive. And now the exploration of yoga. So I would like to begin with a quote from one of my all-time favorite writers, Ursula K. Le Guin. And this is not from any of her books, but this is from an interview that she did very shortly before she passed in 2018. She was quite a visionary, and really was sort of expressing something to the collective that is really the foundation of this approach to our bodies and minds in this yoga. Ursula K. Le Guin. The kind of thinking we are at last beginning to do about how to change the goals of human domination and unlimited growth to those of human adaptability and long-term survival is a shift from yang to yin, and so involves acceptance of impermanence and imperfection, a patience with uncertainty and the makeshift, a friendship with water, the darkness, and the earth. So let's come on up and begin to enter into this this living fabric of your body. You're going to want to have something with some height to it. If you don't have the larger bolster that we use, then you can use a combination of pillows. So just something to bring the, we're going to bring the arms up. And the way that you can sit, if you prefer to, if you're ready, willing, and able to bend the knees back or sit on the heels might work. It's better if you can sit between the heels. So I'm down between the heels here. So if this is compatible, this is not the important part, the lower body, it's just to ground us. We're going to breathe a bit and open the shoulders, but I'm just giving you an option to sit this way. So you can also just sit, you could just sit with the soles of the feet together. You could sit cross-legged. You could even, if you just want to let the knees relax, you could sit with the knees out. And then what we're going to do is we're going to put the pillows or the bolster behind us. But I want to just say something first, just so we can bring a little bit of focus into the breathing. So, as we do begin to start to understand the benefit of slowing down and listening and really moving into the fabric of the body without expectation, without the need to do anything, but for a genuine sense of exploring it, the way that it is keeping us alive, the way that it is alive, the thing that will reveal itself repeatedly is how important the breath is. And so we can come into it from many perspectives and many angles to sort of open up and feel it. One of the things that most of us do when we're not breathing consciously is we just inhale and bring the, I'm exaggerating a bit, but maybe not for some of us, the rib cage vertically. And then it just goes back to where it was. Never gets to relax down into the belly, into the lower organs. So what we want to do is we want to start to expand not only the capacity of the lungs, but the mobility of the rib cage vertically, but also horizontally. Yeah, so we can open up these intercostal muscles and feel that the breath has more room. We start developing more capacity. So what we're going to do when we place ourselves in the posture, I'm going to invite you to inhale and feel the verticality. No, excuse me. Inhale and feel the horizontal movement of the lungs. Yeah, so they're going to expand out when we inhale. Right, so we're not going to bring the shoulders up. We're going to keep the shoulders relaxed. We're going to inhale and just feel the horizontal movement of the rib cage and the lungs. And then on the exhalation, vertically, but vertically down. So the exhalation will feel the rib cage move a bit down. And you may not actually feel this, but the imagery will be enough. Yeah. So just keep that in mind. So however you're sitting, what I would like you to do is have that bolstering I recommended behind you. And also, if you're having some shoulder issues, don't worry about the height of what we're doing with the bolsters. You may even just want to have a towel or a blanket that you can hold onto. And then when we start to bring the arms up, you can just move to wherever your capacity will allow. So we're going to restrict the shoulders a bit and then introduce this breathing. So if you are going to place them on the bolster or the pillows, let's do that now by interlocking your fingers, or not. You could just put the arms on it and then place the hands on whatever height you have. Yeah, bolster, the pillows, a blanket, or holding a towel. So we've now pulled open the shoulder girdle, yeah, and the rotator cuff, making a little bit more room for the respiratory diaphragm to move when we start to introduce this breathing. But let's just stay here for a moment before we breathe consciously. I would just like you to feel the compression. This is why I didn't want the lower body to be such a concern. So if you got in a position that maybe the knees are not so happy, feel free to just go to a position that you can just sit comfortably for a time, so we can really focus on this pressure compression we're creating by holding the arms back. And this is also very instructive for the way that the tremendous tightening of the fascia will start to bring the shoulders forward a bit. Yeah, this is not natural and doesn't need to be a reflection of aging. This is the fascial strands tightening the body. So we want to feel that we can open that. So when we're walking or running or dancing, we have the shoulders over the hips over the heels. So this is just a nice way to start to remind the fascia of this upper area to just open and feel the chest opening as well. So just very slowly and carefully, we're breathing more to feel the mechanism of breathing. We're breathing to feel this dynamic of the verticality and the horizontal movement of the breathing mechanism. So again, when you inhale, just feel this horizontal ribs side to side and just fill up the lungs nice and slowly and feel that. And then when you exhale, feel the verticality of the rib cage settling down a bit. It will go up and down, but I'm just want the exhale to feel it down. And then just start to move slowly into this rhythm at your own pace. Yeah, keep the arms, if you can, keep the arms where they are, so you're not, releasing this. And if you need to release it, bring it down a bit. Yeah, like I said, you can even just hold a towel back there Bring the elbows up a little bit. So just fit your, fitting your body into the posture. We're not concerned with what the posture looks like, but just how does it feel when you start to work your way into this fabric of the body. It's almost like, the imagery that's nice to use is, it's almost like if you were wearing a sweater that was 3 sizes too tight. This is what the fascia does. It tightens internally in that way. So we can, pull and stretch, but that fabric is going to stay at that 3 sizes too small. So we're attempting to take these fine threads of that fabric and slowly start to open it. So we feel like the internal structure of the body fits us. And we don't have that achiness and that tightening feeling. So the inhalation, nice and long and slow and deep, the rib cage opening horizontally. The exhalation, the vertical movement of the rib cage. Also a feeling that you're making room for the respiratory diaphragm up under the ribs, which actually helps us breathe, among many other important functions of the body. Very, very key muscle for our vitality. So let's just do a few more. See if you can stay with it. See if you can keep the shoulders open. Let's just take a break from the breathing and just let the head roll around a little bit. And let's take a few more breaths here. So the inhalation, rib cage expanding side to side. Exhalation, it relaxing down. The danger with only inhaling the rib cage vertically up into the neck and shoulders is it's reinforcing tension there. So we want to loosen the movement of the rib cage up. We want to loosen the flow of the respiratory diaphragm so that tension isn't being held there by our habitual breathing. So feel this breath. It feels a little different. Open things up. This is a good thing. Good. So let's relax the arms. You can just relax the arms forward. And if you are indeed sitting with the knees bent back, let's open them out. Actually, however you were sitting, let's open the knees out just so they can just take a little bit of breath themselves. And then let's just bring the soles of the feet together and very gently start to come forward. Any support that you need, the bolsters work great for this, pillows work great if you want to put something under the thigh or the knee, if you want to put something up front to support your body weight. See if you can really relax the muscles along the back as much as possible, from the mid-spine down to the lower spine, and just kind of soften in. Try to let the head drop down so you can feel just feel the neck and the shoulders. And if you've, pulled the heels way in and up towards the groin, this may just be a habit that's tightening your hips. So let that be very intuitive where you place the feet. They don't have to be in any a specific place. It's really unique to how your knees and your hips are feeling. We want to feel as much as possible like you're just relaxing into this density and this lack of flow in the body. And we don't necessarily need to have the rib cage and the shoulders, open and expansive and expressive. Even in this, this frontal space, you're always invited to explore this movement of the I'm talking about the rib cage now, but there's plenty to explore with the breath. But we can also bring that inhale and feel that there is a horizontal movement to our rib cage. The inhalation, we feel that. The exhalation, we feel the vertical. Could be the other way around. It's just for you to explore. So don't make this into a thing, a technique, but when you become conscious of it, just feel that you're exploring body and breath, and then layers of the mind. And we want to take the ongoing instruction that we're not attempting to do anything. We're allowing ourselves to take a well-needed rest from any kind of fixing or making things go away or even understanding things. So we're resting that left hemisphere obsession and just letting the body feel the body, just letting the visceral tingling, the energy, the vibration, all of these things that labels really don't even come close to, just to feel that. So let's just rise up from here, just nice and slowly. And I just like to repeat what we just did. So once you're up, you can go ahead and sit any way that you would like, the same way that you did. If you want to experiment with something, one thing that I didn't show, which you could do, is if you wanted to bend the knees back, you could sit up on something. What this does is it complicates a bit having the height to actually put the arms on. But you see what I'm doing here, or maybe you don't if you're Olaf and you have your eyes closed. I'm just sitting up on a bolster so my knees can bend back, and then I put a pillow behind me so I can bring my shoulders open by putting my hands on the pillow. So just know that you have these options, but I would just like to set this up for a second time and go back to that same breathing. So when you're ready, let's bring the arms behind the back, interlock the fingers, and very slowly, don't feel like you need to go to your absolute range of motion and then use all your strength to stay there. Better to cultivate a culture of real slow, genuine exploration in your body. So you feel every moment of pulsation and density, slowing down the breathing, slowing down the mind's reaction to the discomfort. So I would just like to switch the focus on this second time around. What I would like to do now is feel the inhale. The rib cage is coming vertically, so it'll pull up into that tension into the neck and the shoulders. Yeah, the inhale, the rib cage coming vertically, and then the exhalation, the relaxation. Now the rib cage relaxing out and down horizontally. So the inhale, the rib cage is moving upward a bit. Yes, who knew it had this much mobility? And on the exhalation, it's just relaxing out and down horizontally. And the exhalation, then that respiratory diaphragm is pressing up towards the heart. The inhalation, as the rib cage comes up, that respiratory diaphragm is pulling down into the organs of the torso. So just do this slowly, carefully, on your own rhythm. Feel it. If you want to change it or something else catches your attention, follow that attention. At any point, you can defocus from the breathing and let the head just roll around. But again, we're doing this with a culture of exploration. So if you come upon something that feels restrictive, it feels contracted, spend a little time with it. Don't pass it by. And right within our own physicality, within our soma, we can begin to explore this invitation of Ursula's, where she says to make friendship with water, darkness, and earth. And then if you're still letting the head roll around, let's bring it back to stationary and just a few more of these conscious breaths. And then if you'd like to let go of my suggestion and just explore the movement of the rib cage, the movement of the respiratory diaphragm, the whole journey from the earth entering the nostrils and floating through the throat down into the belly. And then let us relax the arms again. If you do have your knees bent back, let's straighten them out. And we'll all straighten the legs out. And let's lie down and we'll take a rest from this, please. And also just be aware as you're resting, if there's just an inkling that you need to use the restroom, this would be a good time to do it based on the thing that we're going to do next. We're going to compress down near the urinary tract. So if there's just even a slight chance, this would be a good time. One of the things that this particular approach to the body allows us, in probably right up there with just the anatomical opening, the connection with breath, the slowing of the mind, is our actual relationship to discomfort itself. So this becomes our laboratory. This becomes the place where we explore it with the actual sensations, physical sensations of discomfort, but often what arises emotionally and what arises psychologically. Who would really make a choice to go into these places of discomfort? Much easier to avoid them. So I just want to say something about that, because we do have such a beautiful opportunity to explore this. And I'm just opening discomfort up as well, just to the nature of challenges that most of us are facing right now. Most everyone I talk to is in somehow articulating that they're having challenges. So this is good. The challenge is a good thing. The discomfort in the body is a good thing. But we want to understand the relationship between it. What the discomfort is doing, whether it's in the body, the mind, the heart, or in our environment or our culture, the discomfort acts as a cocoon. The discomfort is encrusting the challenge, is encrusting the discomfort. So the practice of our yoga, whether it's with our environment or our relationship or our politics or our body, is how to respectfully and lovingly and consciously start to open up this cocoon of discomfort. How we can sit with it and start to explore it. What is its texture and nature? Because what we understand is that the challenge is the teacher. The challenge is the guru. And so if we are always resisting, if we're always judging the discomfort, we don't get to the teachings. So this is very, very beautiful in terms of opening up our minds, really, opening up our perspective and being very honest what relationship we do have with discomfort, just in terms of wanting to suppress it, wanting to fix it, not wanting it to be there, and taking us into even a more contracted place. So making a distinction between the discomfort itself and whatever flavor it's showing itself, whatever modality is being presented to you, as being the very top layer. And how do we meet that? How do we soften into that? How do we work with that so we then can see what the real challenge is? Coming to the challenge, then allowing ourselves to relax teaching. If we're just struggling and fighting and with the discomfort, it just creates more discomfort. And this is unique to all of us. You know, this is a study. This is our yoga. So we want to welcome our challenges. We want to welcome our discomfort in a healthy way. So we have a way, a process to ease into, to lean into the discomfort, to be able to then draw it apart, soften it a little bit, and then see, that's the challenge. That's my teaching. That's my study. It wasn't the discomfort. The discomfort was just the cocoon. And how do I mindfully and lovingly open this cocoon so I can see what the nature of the challenge really is? And mostly we do this in layers. You know, this is why we try to find a position in the body that we can sit for a long period, because we see these layers of physical, psychological, emotional, historical are layered in. They've been layering in since we were little children. This cocoon has been holding this discomfort since we were very young. So how to start to respectfully honor that it's been protecting something. And then we get to sit with the wisdom of the challenge, the wisdom of the guru that is the challenge. Okay, let's start coming up, please. And we're going to take, I'm going to show this with a large bolster, since more and more of you are acquiring them, yay. But it will also work, I'll just keep saying this and encouraging you with any combination. I'm going to show you 2 pillows and a blanket like this, or you might even roll up the blanket. This might be a little too high. Yeah, so that's a little too much. So I'll take one of the pillows away. But what I'm showing is just to be, creative with what you have to get to the area we're exploring. Yeah. So, but I'm going to show it with the bolster. So, but roll and pillow as much as you would like. So what we're going to do with this bolster is we're going to put it horizontally from hip to hip. And I'd like to come over it. So almost like you're in a cat-cow over it. And we're going to lower the lower belly. So I'm going to be about a couple of inches below my navel here. So I'm right in this hip area. So the pubic bone is here, the top part of the pelvis, the hips. And then if you could just come onto your forearms. So this is 2 things, obviously for the backward bend, but also I want you to be able to relax your belly. So if the bolster or the blanket roll is too high up and you're in that stomach area or below the stomach in the intestines, this is not what we want. I would like it lower. So your pubic bone will be resting right on there. The hip bones, be sort of grazing it. And then just come to your forearms so the elbow is underneath the shoulder so you can be supported here. Allow both legs to open just a little wider than you might normally, a little bit wider than the hips. Open up the sacrum a bit. And then first of all, see if you can really let the belly area just relax. And you may want to draw a little bit more breath in there. And just feel that. If you can't access that, you could also come a little forward, bring the bolster down a little bit more so the belly can really have some space there. And you can also allow the head and the upper spine to go side to side just a little bit to feel this rippling down the spine into the sacral spine and the pelvis. So we'll just use this just as the basic posturing, or I meant the basic bolstering, just to kind of explore this lumbar compression, the connectivity between the lumbar and the upper spine, and just a certain relaxation of just the whole belly area. If this gets a little bit too much tension staying on the elbows, you can always just relax the body down. So you feel free to come in and out of it at this layer and level. And then just notice, in addition to just the direct feedback that's visceral and direct, notice this relationship that you're having with this discomfort. And so whatever challenges, whatever, biological information, history, your sensations are holding, again, the actual discomfort or pain is just a layering. This is part of the cocoon. We want to relax through that. We want to relax around that. We want to be very, very respectful that it's there for a reason. So if you can just keep the breath somewhat flowing, especially in this belly, this lower back area, feel the connectivity of these areas. And see if you can relax enough to feel some subtlety here as well. And when I say to, accept and to be respectful with whatever discomfort you're feeling, this is very, very simple. This is not a therapeutic process. This is just to breathe and to feel, to relax and to listen. We don't want to turn it into an intellectual discussion with the body. We want to feel like this is a natural process, that the body is protecting us, and that we have the capacity over time to soften these threads of discomfort and then sit with the lesson that is being offered. So if you're still up onto your forearms, wherever you are, let's just relax everything down. So just relax the body down. So we just want to rest the shoulders for a moment here. And then very slowly, whatever you're using, the bolster or your combination pillows and blanket, we're just going to roll over onto this. And the same approximate area. So this is not being placed in my lower back. This is being placed on that pelvic area. So we'll lower the upper body down and make some adjustments if you need to snuggle. And for those of you with pillows and blankets, it's this approximate height of this bolster. Again, just to create this sort of arcing from the lumbar spine down into the femurs. We'll just let the legs relax out for now. We're going to go into the hips soon, but just kind of feel this, especially the decompression from the front part of the body into the back part of the body. Good. So we'll stay exactly where you are, please, but let's leave the right leg just where it is, extended and relaxed. And let's take that left foot, keep it on the floor, keep the left knee to the side, and either place that left foot under the right knee or under the upper right thigh. So the weight of this left knee will pull into the left hip. And this may be tricky if your hips are super tight or injured. So, be careful with this. Release it if you need to. Place a little support under that left thigh if you need to. And this is, a part of the understanding that when we're, working with the myofascial system, something that we often hear is that the cure for the pain is in the pain. And this can be just terribly misunderstood if we develop an unhealthy relationship with pain. So the imagery of the pain itself being the cocoon, what we're saying is that the cure is within that cocoon, not the cocoon itself. The cocoon is the pain. The cure, the healing, the exploration is when we start to allow that pain to release a bit and then see what is it? What is really giving rise to the cocoon in the first place? Why did the challenge make me uncomfortable? And then can I sit with the lesson that's always there, whether it's a lesson within the cells of the body or a lesson in the way that we approach each moment. And this is why the listening is such a fundamental part of this kind of body work, because it's not me and it's not your accumulated information. It is the discomfort itself that will guide you. It'll say, that's just right, or that's not enough, or no, that's too much. You're going to hurt yourself. You're going to put another layer onto this cocoon if you don't back off and listen. So the listening becomes an exploration in our somatic intuitiveness. And how intuitive can we be with this messaging of the body, this relationship between the pain and the teachings that are right layered, embedded within that. So let's let that left leg relax out. And before we bring the right leg up, I would suggest to just bring the knees up to the chest a little bit, or as high as you would like to, and have a little circling and swaying and passive movement into this lumbar area. Just soften and feel it. And then when you're ready, you can let the legs relax back out. Keep the left leg extended and relaxed. And we'll bring the, and this, by the way, is always a good opportunity when we're switching. If whatever height you have becomes, no longer compatible, you may want to lessen it with something. You could just put a blanket under there, just a little bit of height into the pelvic area, or you may be fine. You may want to go a little higher and put a block there. It depends on your body. But we'll leave the left leg extended out, and then we'll bring that right leg up and under. So either that right foot will go under around the left knee or up a little higher. It just depends on how your hip is connected. So the bolstering, whatever you're using, is under the pelvic area, not the lower back. Left leg is extended, right leg is tucked in and under. So we really have to wonder, how is it that, this physical body that is incredibly fluid, it is mostly fluids, and on a deeper level, it is mostly space. We're 99.999% space. So how is it that this spaciousness and this fluidity can feel density, can feel the solidity? This is a good question, yes. So ask your body that. Relax into that inquiry of what is it? What is the nature of density? What is the nature of this cocoon of pain? What is the nature of the body dehydrating, the slowing down of the mechanisms, the stiffness? So let's just stay on this bolstering just a little bit longer, but let's relax that leg out. So now both legs will be straight out. If you're able to, we'll just maintain some of that compression. And I would just like you to go back to considering your breath, and without any direction or, even any a real focus. So just breathe into your body and feel it, and breathe out of your body and feel it. But just in the background, just know that the breath itself, besides affecting your cellular health, affects your sleep, your back, digestion, memory, levels of anxiety. So just as each yoga posture allows us to create a very unique intimacy with our physicality, when we start to consciously breathe, and I mean consciously breathe, so we're actually in this rhythm of the breath from the top of the inhale to the bottom of the exhale and the transition back to the top of the inhale, we can explore the relationship. This is a relationship of breath and this overall sense of health and well-being. Anxiety, memory, digestion, certainly the entire back line, and the quality and restfulness of your sleep. So once again, if you'd like to bring the knees up to the chest, we're going to release out of this. So take your time here, a little swaying, a little knees up, whatever works best for you, maybe knees side to side. And when you're ready, we'll remove this bolstering completely and just lie flat down on your back. And I do have to say, overall, I mean, it's a little strange taking class with myself like this. Yes, has an element of strangeness, mostly because I have to keep myself from agreeing so much with the teacher. It's like, yeah, I like what this guy is saying. He's right on. I go along with everything he says, but afterwards I feel lovely. So even though I already know what the teacher's going to say, I just stay with it and try to keep still. So let's just stay flat on your back. This is going to be very simple twisting. So if you have a variation that you like, what I would like you to do is just make sure you're nice and flat on the back. So not too much under the head. We don't want to disturb the angle of the cervical spine. So if you have a whole pillow contraption and the forehead is way above the chin, if you could remove some of that and then put both feet flat on the floor. And we're going to just let the knees go over to the left and just pretend like I've come up and I'm slowly pressing your right shoulder to keep it on the floor. The right shoulder is going to want to follow the angle of the twist. So just imagine that I'm just gently pressing that shoulder down to just keep it grounded. And we'll just let the knees go over to the left here. And I do understand that it may appear that the container that we cultivate is the physical body to do this exploration of the what the cocoon is holding in terms of discomfort. But that is just simply that's the superficial geometry. The genuine container for our exploration, whether it's physical pain or emotional or cultural, is stillness and silence. So this is why we want to um, really and truly let go of aesthetic and agenda and place the body in such a way that we can come into our own pristine sense of intimacy, inner quiet, calm, and stillness. Because this is where we then take the magnifying glass and explore how this challenge, this discomfort has become layered. Good. So let's bring those knees up and just take a moment if you need to stretch them out. But if you're able to, we didn't hold that for so long, we'll bring them over to the right now. And again, just imagine that there's just a gentle pressure on that left shoulder so we don't compromise. So the knees don't have to go obviously to the floor, and you can support them with something underneath that right leg, but we don't want the shoulder necessarily to roll up. This stillness is quite a fragile thing. So one of the things that we want to do is we want to notice when an urge starts to appear, just as an urge to disturb it, to become distracted. And we know they take many forms. But our practice, our inquiry is, can we just watch them start to form, watch these urges to disturb the stillness, disturb the silence, and let them, just like a bubble, let them just float up, but then dissolve just as easily. And the more that we practice this, the more space we have. So it's just really a habit that every time an urge starts to arise, we have to follow it. We don't. And if we do this habitually, it turns into what we would call an addiction. We have to follow the urges without having any conscious choice. So stillness and silence is a very deep part of our exploration, and not in the sense of right or wrong. We're not trying to hold still to see if we can do it. Again, we're cultivating stillness as a container to explore all of this arising, all of these bubbles that come up. Good. So let's now bring those knees back up from the right. And I would again invite you to have some tucking in, hugging the knees in, and swaying a bit and feeling it. Good. So let's put the feet back on the floor and let's let the knees go to the left. Same thing, just right over. And again, if you have a variation on this, if you'd like to put the left over the right to weight it a bit, once the legs are down, if you'd like to extend that right leg out into the air so the weight of it pulls. And this is just a simple, basic reclining twist. The only thing I'm suggesting is just feel the right shoulder staying grounded and relaxed and let everything come to the left. And in some ways, when we, really do look closely into the, gelatinous and electromagnetic, fossil being of intelligence that we are, what I'm talking about is no different than training a muscle. If we use repetitively a muscle, then we can use it and it has strength and it has muscle memory. So on some level, these neural pathways, and though they're very refined, these are bioelectrical connections through the body. And so if we continually allow them to fire along certain threads and certain pathways, they become habituated. So the ground of being, if you will, is this stillness. So we can then observe our process and we can observe that, oh yes, this is something I want to cultivate. This is healthy. This is therapeutic and healing for my sense of well-being. This is something I could possibly start to lessen my relationship with. How am I assigning meaning to this experience? Good. So once again, let's let those legs come on up. And same thing, if you need a little reprieve by straightening them, you do what you need, but we're going to let them go, obviously, over to the right side. The other thing that Ursula suggested we cultivate is a patience with uncertainty. And so this has very direct applications to this approach to the body, because we're wanting to examine, can we explore authentically without any formulas, without any preconceived ideas of what we should and shouldn't do and how we should approach our body. So that's why this yoga remains accessible to anyone at any time, because you're simply meeting your body, your circumstances, exactly where you are, and trying to just enter into this exploration based on what your needs are. So again, I come back to this over and over. It's really our capacity to listen to the feedback we're getting, how consciously we want to lean into this cocoon to start to open it a bit to see what the teacher has to reveal. Good. So let's bring the legs up, please. And you can straighten them out. And it might be nice, especially after the repetitive twist there, to just put your legs up a bit on something, a pillow, a bolster, just to elevate the femurs out of the hip sockets a bit. So I just wanted to share something with you that I've really been in a very deep contemplation about for a while now. It's just incredibly fascinating, and especially when we start to really become grounded in this amazing relationship of, the workings of the physical body. But like I was suggesting earlier, how is it that we can hold these things when we're mostly space and fluid? So, and just the relationship of, superimposing meaning on not only the body, but the whole kind of ball of wax. So there's this operation that was developed in 1962 to give epileptics relief. So these severe epileptics, they came up with this operation to sever the bundle of fibers, the cable between the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. So there's other finer cables between it, but they found that this primary cable, the corpus callostrum, it's called, they could sever it. And this would give the epileptics great relief. What this also did is it began a study between our sense of perception and reality and the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere. So many studies in many different areas: color, sound, psychology. Then there's a neuroscientist, he's current, you may have heard of him. His name is V.S. Ramachandran. If you haven't heard from him, he's just brilliant. Neuroscientist. So he had a patient where he performed this surgery and did this experiment with him so he could actually speak and communicate with the left hemisphere separately from the right hemisphere. So it turns out that this individual, communicating with his left hemisphere, was devout, believed in God. I don't remember the specifics of his belief, but he had a definite belief in God. The right hemisphere did not. The right hemisphere was just no belief in terms of any kind of spiritual, religious holdings. So have been sitting with that, and I just think it's very, and I think it's very interesting also that the left hemisphere that has the belief that the left hemisphere needs to hold our structures and our imagery and our symbology, all our reference points, whereas the right hemisphere, it just vibrates with openness and expansiveness. So I think it's just worthy, it's worthy to take this contemplation of the body, that we're, giving the opportunity to cultivate stillness and silence and explore, not only the workings of the bones and the joints and the pain in the lumbar, but what is our fundamental relationship to this consciousness at the level of consciousness and awareness, at the level of brain, left and right hemisphere, and the way that the senses then weave into the physicality and create what we believe to be ourselves. Okay, so let's come on up, please. And let's bring, we bring both the right and the left hemisphere with us. We want both of them. And let's open the legs out to just about, if I had a yoga mat here, I would maybe have my legs a little bit wider than it. So I'm not suggesting a full open straddle, and I'm not suggesting close in hip width. I'm suggesting maybe, I don't know what that would be angle-wise. I don't even want to guess. Just open about 2-3 inches if you have a yoga mat there. And then coming forward, if you know your body and where you're headed, just head there. If you want a few suggestions, some of the things that you can do is you can sit up on something, but not flat on it, to keep the hips flat. Sit on the edge of something. This will tilt your pelvis forward a bit. This sometimes, some of the stiffness is the pelvis tilting back. So if we can tilt it forward a bit, that's nice. So that's a suggestion. Another suggestion for this, if you would like, if the hamstrings feel just excessively tight, you can put a roll or some bolstering under the knees themselves. Yeah, so this allows then to take some of that compression from the hamstrings and let the forward bend be a little bit deeper, but that's not necessary. And then the weight then of the upper body is certainly, we're considering that as we using the posture and the weight to create the compression that we want to explore. So leaning on something, pillows or blanket or something that you can, just modify how much compression you're interested in working with, and that is always up to you. It's the it's the exploration that's most important. We're not trying to make the body more flexible. We're trying to become intelligent with the way the body's responding to the posture. And just to maybe put one more broad stroke on what I was just saying about this relationship between the hemispheres of the brain, that what we come to understand, if we're using this very large context of yin and yang, that the right hemisphere contains and allows us access to the qualities of yin, this open-endedness, this receptivity. So we can explore this. We can explore how much we're relying and how much we are dominated by this yang energy of logic and precision and perfection, and how we have a balance with a an openness, with an uncertainty, with imperfection. And again, this is unique and personal to your own self-inquiry. And the yin also understands with just brilliant clarity that there is just tremendous wisdom in the mystery. The yang, the logic, wants nothing more to solve the mystery. So finding our own balance with these two energies, this can be very healthy to have that level of balance and how to move between the two. You know, we can say left and right hemisphere, yin and yang, but if we bring it closer in, we can also look at the qualities, the energies of the masculine and the feminine. So we let go of our gender and we see that we have these energies of masculine and feminine, of yin and yang, and relationship to just the mystery of being alive moment to moment. Good, so let's come on up from here. And I'm going to show this. We're going to keep going because we're going to come back to this, hopefully. I'm going to show the backward bend with the large bolster so you can see what we're doing. So if you don't have a large bolster, you can replicate it. Then I'll show it with the pillows. But if you have an idea of the height and the application, it might make it easier with the pillows and the blanket. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this large bolster and place it behind us vertically. So not hip to hip, but out long behind us. And we'll keep the feet on the floor and tuck it in. So a couple of things here. You can do this as is with nothing supplemental, and it'll be if your back is really nice and flexible and open without injury, it'll be a medium, mild to moderate compression. If you would like to go somewhat deeper with that and you have the smaller bolster or you have a blanket, you can take a blanket and make a little roll, something supplemental, and we would just tuck that in right down in the lumbar. So obviously this is just going to deepen the compression, yeah, and the stress on the lumbar. So either choice there, yeah, the buttocks will stay on the floor. I'm showing it now with this added compression, but it's not necessary. I'm just showing it because it's an option, because I've not really met your lower back in person. Tuck it in if you're not using that, and then this will be certainly appropriate. Yep, we're going to keep the legs out. We're not going to bend them back because we maybe did that earlier. And then if the bolster is not available, I'm replicating it with pretty much these two pillows. This one's a lot firmer than this one. So this will afford what we're looking for in the lower back. And then something, good idea to have something for the head. So I'm going to tuck my pillows in, or rolled, you could roll up a blanket as well. Yeah, so this is actually reproducing it. Maybe something for the head. If this is extreme, to let the neck stretch this way, then put some bolstering under the back. The back of the head would be fine. Just make sure you do keep the sits bones on the floor. That would be best. Yeah. And just settle in, just allow yourself to inhabit your body. Just explore the difference between all your narratives, all of your lovely, interesting, entertaining concepts and embodiment. They're not the same. The narrative, the commentary, the conceptualizing is not embodiment. The opportunity and the invitation of the asana is to explore embodiment. Just imagine that this cocoon of discomfort, in whatever way that you're experiencing challenge or discomfort, irritation, background anxiety, whatever it is, just imagine that we're just taking it into just a bowl of warm water and just gently softening it. No forcing, no effort, but just to allow the strands to start to loosen a bit. And to have a curiosity of what it might be holding, that when we become safe enough to release, to open the cocoon, what is the nature of the teaching that the challenge has to offer? And we could imagine that the breath itself is this bowl of warm water. And so the breath gets to saturate our discomfort, to saturate our pain. So we're holding our body with this imagery of softness. And I do know that it can appear like we're, sitting here on our floor, very, very solid and closed in a building with a roof. We can go outside and we can see the road, we can see the forest, we can see all this solidity, and really start to just, completely believe that we're in this solid and limited environment. But we could also relax from that a little bit and expand our recognition that we're actually floating around in the universe on this giant sphere, just held down by gravity. And this sphere is just moving just incredibly fast. The motion is incredible, that we're spinning, we're circling the sun, we're moving around in our universe, but we're also just being hurtled out into open space. So we're traveling, we're on a ride, actually. We're on a ride in this open and expansive, infinite, beautiful and safe cosmos. And we can, take that imagery, and we can also extend it into our direct experience, that we can feel solid and stiff and aging and achy and injured in the physicality. But what yoga is saying is that our true home is really in our consciousness, that our fundamental reality is that we are conscious, open, expansive, no different than the infinity of the universe. So it makes you think, what is it that this left brain believes that possibly the right brain doesn't believe? So let's just bring the arms over the head, whichever support you're using, and just very, very gently, nothing specific in terms of fingers interlocked, or let the elbows either bend or straighten, but just feel the weight. And again, not only shoulders, but opening up the rib cage. And if you'd like to go back to that exploration, we can go to the inhalation, the in breath, expanding the rib cage horizontally side to side, and the exhalation allowing it to relax back down. So just sort of play with that. We want to let the rib cage open, make more room for the lungs, make more capacity for the body to have more breath. And only keep your arms there as long as works for you. Again, just follow the rhythm of the body. This may be just what you needed, or you may need to go back to resting your arms. And please, do not take, my word or anyone's word that the nature of your reality is consciousness. The way that we explore this, as we start to see the reason we don't fully embrace this identity, is because we get lost in objects. So whenever the complication of our senses go out and see an object, we identify with that object. And we identify with so many objects that we become identified with just objective experience. This is a very deep study. What the yoga is saying is lessen that identification. Go a little bit deeper, rest a little further back, and see that all of this objective experience can only arise in consciousness. And this is subtle. We want to have that stillness. We want to have this be experiential. We don't want this to be conceptual. Again, conceptualizing is not embodiment. So you can relax your arms now, please. And just start to have a little bit of movement. Maybe deepen the breath a bit, put the feet on the floor, just kind of shake it, sway it. Just allow the body to release any muscular tension that has certainly been accumulating with this compression. And one of the the primary sort of tests, if you will, the litmus tests of am I that object or not that I get lost in, is notice that it's changing and it's going to keep changing. So how can we identify with something that is changing all the time? We want to have the stability, the groundedness to identify with something that is changeless. This would be our awareness. Good. So you can start to roll off of this bolstering and curl on your side and lay on your back. We're not going to take a longer rest just yet, as we're going to go back into that forward bending that we did before it. Good. So if you're ready, let's push on up. And we're going to just go right back to where you were. So whatever proppings you had. And again, let's do the legs this approximate width. So not a full straddle open and not a hip width, but just about this, I'll just guess 40 degrees. And then we'll come forward again. Just relax, soften, especially after the length of that backward bend. I would ease into it. Don't attempt to stretch out. That will activate the muscle. Allow the lower back to even go side to side a little bit on your way down. Really feel this torso weight tugging and pulling and stretching and doing all the things it does. Just to imagine that your breathing is this very, very gentle wind that is just swirling swirling just around all of your structures and your organs and all of these tight places, but it doesn't bind. It just flows. It has a rhythm to it. We want to start to feel our own individual breathing rhythm and certainly be creative with it. If it's habitual, if it's mechanical, if it's stuck in any way, it will inhibit. I mentioned all the areas, and there are many, many more, but it will inhibit your ability to feel alive. How could it not? So let's come on up from here, and let's just make a simple little adjustment. Let's just bring the soles of the feet together and go back into the forward bend. If too much here on your hips, bring anything you need under the legs to support them. They can be uneven. I'm talking if it just feels restrictive and painful and unsafe. Same thing with the upper body. Really feel the neck, feel the entire back line relaxing from sacrum to cervical, and just sink in. So I'd just like to take a moment and go back to that inquiry that I offered earlier, the inquiry of why is it that the physical body feels solid and stiff and painful when indeed we know it's spacious and fluid. So the fluidity of the body is fundamentally based on vibration. The spaciousness of the body fundamentally based on vibration. So at your cellular level and deeper, at your fluid levels and deeper, everything is vibrating. This vibratory force, and it has channels, it has pathways. And when they're open, when they're clear, when they're connected, then we don't have this feeling. We have this feeling of just utter lightness. When these systems get blocked, the vibration itself gets blocked, the flow gets blocked. And this then manifests, this then expresses itself as a feeling, as a sensation, as a blockage. So when we come into a yoga pose, we're not really diagnosing. This is what I was saying earlier to Minette. We don't have to figure it out. What we're attempting to do is to relax into this vibratory state. This is our aliveness. This is the pranic force. And just feel, is there a blockage here? Is there a density here that fundamentally is based on vibration? And if you want to experiment with this, listen to the most delicate vibration of a crystal bowl being played, and how that just resonates with your body, that vibration. And then listen to Beethoven's sonata, and how does that feel at a vibratory level in your body? And then listen to some death metal, and how does that vibrate in your body? Listen to a construction site, and so the outer vibration affects the inner vibration. But we can go very, very refined and subtly and deeply into this body that is vibrating within and without. So yes, our fluids, our spaciousness, our fascial connections, our pulsation of organs, but at the most basic level is this vibration. And this vibration is vibrating within our consciousness. Good. So let's come on up from here, please. And so at this point of class, since we have this flexibility, if you need some counter poses and you would like to keep going with your asana, feel free. But we're going to lie down now and take a rest and come into Shavasana. So just make yourself comfortable. Always nice, even if you're going to keep going, to really let the chi have a clear distribution through the body. So take a rest here. And I just wanted to make a quick observation. This just sort of occurred to me, being out and about a bit. So I was thinking that this opportunity that we have to wear these masks around, what we're essentially doing is we're masking our own mask, the mask of our face, yes, our persona. And so how we're so habituated to responding to that persona. I'm not talking about the cloth mask, I'm talking about our face mask. And so very interesting how we can judge and evaluate someone based on the facial expression and the age or the beauty. So the opportunity to have that all covered and just have contact with our eyes, this is an opportunity. This is an opportunity to learn how to smile with our eyes, how to connect with our eyes, how to transcend the judgments and the habits we have around relating to someone's persona, to someone's mask, and have that covered and be able to transmit and connect and just feel this subtler identity beyond the persona of the face. So I just put that out there only because it occurred to me, and I've been really noticing that we're needing to, I see it from others wanting to reach out to me with their eyes, and my reaction back to connect, to just open, to feel a sense of, yes, I realize I'm not this superficial layer of my persona. And what an opportunity for us to just to explore that. a good opportunity to explore this quality of love from a perspective of yoga. Yoga suggests that love is just the simple recognition that at some level we're simply one being, and we have the opportunity to begin to look at each other from that place of oneness. This is love. So you are certainly invited to continue your Shavasana if you would like, or come into some counter pose, or go get a snack, whatever feels best. Or if you would like to come up and sit with me for a few moments, and we will close our contemplation. Namaste.